Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. This game is an absolutely amazing game. This is from the Clutch Chess that's happening, Clutch Chess Legends, and with the white pieces we have an absolute legend here, 5 times world champion. We have Vischer playing against a really strong opponent. He's none other than Garry Kasparov, and this is going to be very interesting game, a match between absolutely great rivals of chess, and the last match they played was in 1995. So this is going to be an absolutely epic encounter happening after 30 years. So let's see how it goes. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here Vishisar starts with e4. He's with the white pieces, and now just e6. We have d4 and immediate d5, knight to c3. We have d caps on e4, knight captures, bishop to c6, and now just going for this f3, knight to e7, queen to d3, g6, and a queenside castle in this position. For any one of you who is unfamiliar with the chess 960 concept, or who doesn't like them in general, I would just say just try to look at this position in a normal sense, and after you castle you'll realize that this just turns to a position which is absolutely normally you will see, or normally you'll play in blitz, in bullet, and in rapid, and every time you go for it. So just by move 7 or by move 9, this position transposes to complete in normal games. That's why in openings you can actually try to go all out, try to find new ideas, and that's why this has been testing out. So here just knight to f5, and now just comes knight to e2, queen to e7, and if you go for a move like c4 in this position, which is very aggressive, but after knight to d6 you play king to b1, castles, bishop to c3. Most likely here white's position is absolutely fine. Vishisar could clutch it, but the thing is that here most likely what's going to happen is you have immense tension towards the center. This could be an idea somewhere along the line, those bishops are eyeing each other. What you would want to do is maybe just push those pawns all the way to start creating an attack, but it's not going to be that easy. So here after queen to e7 we have g4, trying to push towards the queen side, and this is the best move recommended by the engine. Here just knight to d6, bishop to g3, and now just castles in this position, knight to c3, knight to a6, a3 now, rook a to d8, and just knight caps on d6. C captures f4, and now Vishisar is definitely this tension between the bishop. Vishisar is pushing towards f5 or maybe even h4, h5. So this is going to be a really strong attack that Garry would have to deal with, or he's going to have to be suffering through the entire thing, and going to have to be on the back foot in the entire game. So here just knight to c7 was played, h4, now we have f5. But f5, is it a good f5 or is it a bad f5? Because we're gonna have to see, but there is a move that is on my radar that I can see, and I absolutely love this move in this position, and that is definitely h5. And h5 could be a really strong move, because the thing is that if you go for f caps on g4, you try to be greedy and go towards the pawn. The thing is that h caps on g6, and you can basically resign here. After h captures queen caps on g6, you play queen to g7, and you don't want to trade because that queen is the only active piece in your opponent's camp basically, and you don't have pieces supporting the queen to try and go for an attack immediately. So you would want to wait it out, just play queen to h5, and if you go for bishop captures here, then you just you're just inviting trouble. Bishop captures, rook captures, and you can see that there is just immense pressure. Next the knight is jumping in. Either this is not the way to play chess. But after queen to h5, if you go rook to f6 to try and maybe just kick out the queen, that doesn't work either, because here after bishop caps on c6, I just trade b captures, rook to h1, same idea, and there is very much an insane tension there, and it's going to be very difficult to try and defend this, and engine evaluation is giving it as a piece up, so basically you can just resign here. But after f5 we have g5, and g5 is something that I did not even consider, because I was just looking at an attack towards here right away, but Vishisar played it, and this just might be the turning point of the game, because here just comes d5, and now that bishop trade has been avoided, and you cannot trade the bishop, so this is going to be at least 2 tempos away, and h5 would have been the idea, but now it's very difficult. But Vishisar goes for it. He goes for h5 immediately. G caps on h5, we have bishop to f3, but now just comes this bishop to e8, rook to h1, and bishop to g6. The position is still very much fine. It still has the resources to try and go for it. The move that you want to play in this position, you can play a bishop caps on h5 right away and maybe just ask for a trade in this position, but most likely what's going to happen is if you go for this, queen to e8 is a very nice move. Just try and put extra pressure and allow you to trade. Then after maybe queen captures, your position should be fine. You're going to have to suffer for the rest of the game, but still most likely this should end in a draw with perfect play. Really perfect play. But the thing is that here knight to e2 was played, knight to e8, bishop to e1, and queen to c7. You don't want to give your opponent a bit of an even a bit of an counterplay. So bishop caps on h5, really the way to go. But here just bishop caps on h5 was played, bishop to g7, king to b1, and a5, b4. a5 b5 in this position, I don't think so. That's a bit of a threat. It's at least like 3 tempos away, so you can just try to go for an attack with bishop caps on g6, but the thing is that after h captures, it looks good. It just looks good. That's the problem. It doesn't do much, because if you go for rook to h4 in this position and try to maybe double up here by moving the bishop away, just knight to d6. And if you try to go for knight to c3, just knight to e4, you have to trade that knight. Knight captures, f captures, queen to s3. It just looks very nice, but the trouble is you're not doing anything. And just don't even try to go for grabbing pawns in this position, because this would just completely ruin your position. So here after a5, queen to e3 was played, king to f7, and knight to g1. Now it's going to be very difficult to try and attack. King can run away, and that's the problem in this position. Rook to c8, queen to c1 was tried, but not. Just knight to d6, bishop to e2, b5, and just knight to f3. Now just rook to b8, knight to e5 check, and just bishop captures. You have to trade that knight. D captures, knight to e4, and that knight on e4 is an absolute beast. You're gonna have to eliminate it somehow. Rook to d3 and just b4. Now e4, rook f to c8, and now just going for rook d to s3. And once you saw that position where you know that bishop captures on h5 was an idea, and all the pieces were crammed in, and even the queen can be remaneuvered to e8, and the rooks were crammed in, and you look at this position from there, I mean, it just looks like you gave your opponent a bit too much of counterplay that was not supposed to be there. And here king to e8, now just comes bishop to a6, rook to d8, queen to d1, and now just going for rook to d7, queen to d4, queen to c6 now, but just bishop to b5, rook caps on b5, a captures, finding this very nice resource here, Garry, because here queen caps on b5, bishop to f2, rook to b7, and rook to d1 was played. And now the thing is that even being down in exchange, this position is still a draw, and that's the problem here. Queen to e2 was played, bishop to e1, queen to g4, and rook to h4 attacking the queen. Queen moves, and now asking for a queen trade, bishop to h5, not trading queens, but the thing is that now it's winning, but it's very difficult to find out why, because knight to c5 was played, attacking the queen. Queen caps on e2, bishop captures, and there is only one move in this position that wins the game. So feel free to pause the video and try and find out the only winning move in this position that just gives you a win against an absolutely amazing attacker, Garry Kasparov. Have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is rook to h6, just putting some extra pressure on that pawn. And the thing is that if you go for an a4, or if you're thinking about b3, this move would just completely crush you, because now I'm attacking the knight. The knight cannot go. If you go for knight to e4 attacking the bishop, I just play rook caps on e6, and I have this because king to f7 does not work, because you have rook to h6 threatening this, picking up the rook, and now you're not in time to be able to grab the bishop here. And if you go for a move like king to g7 in this position, my rook is very nicely defended. I just go for rook c to h1, and I'm still threatening the same thing. You're gonna have to move the king away, defend it with the rook, with the king, and most likely next move I just move the bishop, and my position is completely winning. There is nothing you can do. Your entire counterplay towards this side has been nullified. My rooks are absolutely amazing. I can go for a pawn push in this position, and rooks are getting inside the position. There is nothing you can do. Completely winning. But after bishop caps on e2, bishop to f2 was played, and it's still winning, but you're gonna have to be careful, because you know it was winning right after the opening as well. But the thing is that there was just a little bit of a inaccuracy, and then you just lost it all. It just knight to e4 was played, bishop to e3 now, and a very nice resource by Garry in this position. He goes for d4, and d4 is a very tricky move, very tricky move, and the move that you want to play in this position is, well, it's very difficult. And the thing is that I can ask you to pause the video, but it's just very difficult to try and find out the accurate move. The move is rook to h2, attacking this bishop, and if you go for d captures, then just rook caps is absolutely fine. If you go for bishop to g4 in this position, trying to save it, then just bishop caps on d4, then you're absolutely fine. But then you must be wondering, well, what was the problem with going for this rook here? Well, the thing is that if you go for this rook here, which happened in the game, now you understand that bishop to g4, and now I don't have anything, because I cannot go for captures here, unfortunately, because the trouble is, I'm sure you can all see it, which is this: if I capture this check comes, I have to move it away, and this would be a very nasty fork that's going to happen to both of the rooks, and I'm just going to lose the exchange in this position, the advantage that I had, and most likely this position would end in a draw. And that's the problem here. Here bishop to c1 was tried, but this just does not work, and after knight to g3, now just going for this, but knight to e2, and here rook g to h1, but bishop to f3, and this is the problem, because that bishop is now swinging here, rook is coming in, and now it's going to be very difficult to defend this. Rook on to h3 was played, but now just comes bishop to e4, b3 now, the rook to c7, and just rook caps on h7. If you trade here, then your position is completely lost, but what you want to do is what Garry did in this position: rook captures on c2, and this is just very difficult not to do anything. Rook to h8 check was played, and now unfortunately you're going to have to go for a perpetual, which Fischer did in this position, and the first game ended in a draw. Lot of arrows dodged by Garry in this position. I mean, it was winning, winning, and winning. But he just wishes I could not convert. Maybe due to time travel, maybe he was not able to find the move with all the pressure. But the thing is that it was very dodgy game, and it would could have gone like maybe just completely into Vishisa's side, but it was just one move, right after one move, right after one move, where you had to find the correct move, and it did not go that way. But the thing is that we have many rapid games and many blitz games coming in as well, so I'll be covering those. And yeah, a great game by both of these players. Gary survived this, but it's just not gonna happen all the time. So let's see what happens tomorrow, or let's see what happens in the next games. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with such amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.